Please welcome all the way onto the stage. She's 5'5".
Thank you, that is very tall in my family. So,
Weighing in at between 10 and 12 and a half stone, depending on how lonely she is, it's Josie Long!
welcome, hello. Hello. Thank you so much for coming. This is, as I say, this is the last ever performance that I'm going to give of this show. So instead of doing the show, I'm just going to be like... That's not how I normally start the show, but I'm glad that you've all come out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to let's just bloody start the show. Let's do it. Oh, I should say at some point though, I might have to take off my shoes or my jumper because I always dress for winter and then I get here and then I'm too warm. But I just thought I'd flag it because I don't want it to be too seedy. Like, no, you're enjoying the show, are you? Well, let's just relax, you know. And I also do not want you confusing it with some kind of clumsy burlesque. It is not that. I will simply be too warm. I'm not a fan of burlesque at all. But I would like it a lot more if it was just women like me going, oh, I'm too warm. I'm still too warm, I have to do the tights. I'm too cold now. Has anyone got any tassels? It's the only thing I'm not too cold for. So that is the thing, that's appreciated as well. But fuck it, let's bloody do it now. As you can see, the show is called Romance and Adventure. And the reason the show is called that is because, what a title, am I right? Seriously, I mean, you see that, you're like, where is it? Give me a ticket, put me on the train. That's why I called it that. Shrewd. And also because that is what I want from life right now. I want romance, I want adventure, and I want heightened, wonderful experiences. But the more that I've performed the show, the more that I'm really starting to realise that it's not what the show's about. Not at all. If anything, the show is kind of about how do you keep going when you feel like you're in the pits of despair. But I thought, nobody's going to come and see that show. Call it Romance and Adventure. Everyone's like, 1 ticket, please. Oh, bad luck, you bunch of pricks. Oh, I got all your money, and I'm taking it back to East London in the sack. And I'm going to spend it all on little tiny coffees and a fixed wheel bicycle. And I'm going to go round and round in East London, laughing at your West London money and throwing it in the air. I simply cannot tell you what a poor version of events to describe my life that is. I played to 15 people in Hay on Wye this year. So I as well, like it is silly, it's kind of like a bad, it's sort of a lie to start the show because there is definitely adventure in the show, and it starts with the most adventurous thing that I've done in the past year, and that is pretty much a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, I climbed a really big mountain. I climbed Mount Kenya, which is in Kenya, and I climbed it for charity. Thank you very much for the grudging support for the charity. Although you don't know what charity it was. It was a charity that murders dogs. Not unwanted dogs. Pet dogs. On Christmas Day. Take some rough of children in the park on Christmas Day. And that is what you support. I really like the fact that every time I do that, somebody will be like, whoa! Like, it's like in Edinburgh when I was doing it, somebody jumped up from the front and they were like, I fucking hate dogs! Dude, there is no charity that murders pet dogs on Christmas Day. It's a private company. Obviously, I didn't climb the mountain for a charity that murders pet dogs. Climbed it was for a good charity. It was for an anti-abortion charity. Obviously, it wasn't an anti-abortion charity. Can I
say, I'm so glad that you went silent during that bit. That happened at the Edinburgh Fringe, and I thought, I have nothing in common with these nuns. It's going to be horrendous. No, it was a good charity, and I climbed the mountain, and oh my God, I loved it. Like, I loved it desperately. Like, for example, there were 25 of us that climbed the mountain, and of all of us that climbed it, I was the first one to reach the summit. Thank you. And apparently what that means is I am not a team player. That's what they would say, right? Those losers, right? Oh, second place! Is that even on the Olympic podium? I wouldn't know. I'm like, Chris Hoy. Once I said Steve Hoy, and it really showed me up, Also, I do know that second place is on the Olympic podium. Like, I wasn't watching the Olympics with my hand over the bottom. He's done well, but who are those pricks of varying heights? No, I won't move my hands, I'm in my own home. I totally got it. And oh my God, like, I can't really convey to you how much I love climbing the mountain, because it shocked me how much I loved it. Like, firstly I started thinking, oh my God, what if I finally found my one true calling in life, and it is this? That's not helpful for humanity. Like, no one here's ever going to have that emergency. It was like, oh God, we need somebody to climb the mountain, as long as other people go up first carrying the heavy bags and prepare a hot meal. I'm ready! It's proper high as well. And I thought, what if I'm supposed to be at this altitude and I didn't know? Like, everyone else is getting altitude sickness and falling over and being sick, and I just thrived on the altitude like a llama. The only thing... Thank you, sir. Oh, that's my favourite thing in the world, is disproportionately entertaining one person at a time. That's like my dream. Now I feel like, you're done, who's next? Anytime, I'll get you. I did thrive on the altitude. Hey, like, the only thing that happened to me with altitude sickness is one evening I felt like a princess and I wanted to tell everyone all my special secrets. That was a cracking night. It's proper high as well. It's 15,000 feet high. It's not the highest mountain in Africa, but it is the hardest mountain in Africa. Thank you. Don't worry, nobody ever likes that. And I know why I do it, because I do it all the time in my real life. Because in my real life, I'm going out with a Scottish man. I know you're impressed. I'm going out with a Scottish. I like how someone tried to be like, ooh. That's like a sweet aunt. Like, ooh, this is the worst present I've ever been given. But I'm going out with a Scottish man, and we have a lot of, in that voice, what I like to call playful banter, and what he likes to call racist abuse. Along the lines of, why don't you live in London? Are you stupid or backwards? Thing is, you do that bit on tour and it just doesn't work. But fuck it, it's a long distance relationship, so it's basically like having a Tamagotchi. It died! Cheeseburger, forward roll, bunch of grapes, forward roll, first aid kit. That is a joke for people who understand how to pacify a Tamagotchi. And for everyone else, it's just a bit of you time at the top of the show. Your own thoughts. Thank you, sir. I tell you what, climbing the mountain brought out this weird, nasty, macho streak in me that I just didn't even know existed. Like, everyone else was climbing it, there were these sweet, earnest people who were like, I'm doing this for my family, and I'm doing it for the charity. And I'd be like, I'm doing it because I love cardio, get the fuck out of my way! Hi, you didn't miss much. I climbed a mountain, it was awesome. Also, I swear loads. Also, that's vinyl. Done. As well, even the guide was like, wow, it's your first time climbing a mountain? And I was like, yeah, but I do a lot of Bikram yoga, so I kind of know my body, and then it's like this. And then the most pathetic part about that is, I didn't even factor in until we got to the summit that we'd have to get back down again. It just didn't occur occurred to me. I just assumed there'd be a courtesy bus. There's nothing worse than having to walk past people that 20 minutes ago you basically pushed over in tears, clinging onto the guide. Like, I just assumed there'd be a slide. I only brought enough flapjacks for the way up. I think that about the slide though. If you're gonna bloody climb a mountain, put a slide in, for courtesy's sake. And then you get to be like, we climbed Everest. Oh, how long did it take you? 14 days up, 20 minutes down. Woo! Spring break! That's my gift to you. I don't know why I'm doing it at the moment, but I fucking love doing it. Whenever it just cheers you up, like, woo, spring break! It's not even seasonally appropriate. I have another gift for you, which is, you know, if you're like walking along, you nearly trip up. You're like, embarrassing! Or like, so just do something, you know, mildly embarrassing. This will get you out of any embarrassing situation. If straight away you go... Just makes you look like a cool Olympic gymnast. You have to do it twice, otherwise it seems amateurish. Twice. I think I felt a bit uncomfortable with how much I loved climbing the mountain. I think from like a class perspective or from a political perspective, because I'm starting to realise all the things that I feel naturally good at and all the things that I'm most enjoying at the moment are proper, old-fashioned, high-end aristocratic pursuits. That just does not sit well with who I think I am at all. Like, if I could introduce myself to you at the start of the show, if there's one thing I'd like you to know about me is that I love social justice. Thank you! You and me! Everyone else couldn't give a shit. You and me! No, I love it! Like, I love it so much! Like, I love it! Like, I love it. I've got all the pictures. I've got the stickers. I have 2 shiny Nye Bevins. If you want to swap one, I'll swap it for either half of the top half of Nelson Mandela's head. That's a joke for people who remember Panini sticker albums. I will get you all individually! But I love social justice. Like, I love social justice so desperately. Like, if I sit and think about how unequal a society we are and how the top and bottom are getting further and further away and how this government of maniac oligarch thieves is kicking whatever they want to shit just because they got together and went, hey, why don't we set up a 1980s tribute government? Thank you, I wrote that. If I think about that for any length of time, like, I can't help myself. I just love social justice and I want an equal society now. And I can't help myself. I just start weeping and weeping. That is how much I love social justice as much as, you know, on YouTube a little while ago there was a little girl called Sophia Grace. She's like about 8 years old. She was in a tutu rapping Nicki Minaj and she was like really famous. She's like, oh my god, I love Nicki Minaj so much. And she went on the Ellen show in America and Ellen was like, do you love Nicki Minaj? And she was like, oh my god, I love Nicki Minaj, I love. And then Nicki Minaj came out and she was like, oh my god, Nicki Minaj. I love social justice as much. All I'm starting to learn from doing that bit is not enough people know who that girl is. That is a national disgrace! I love her so much. She just loves Nicki Minaj. I don't even know who Nicki Minaj is. But so I love social justice, like, desperately, and I kind of worry because I feel a bit like as a comedian you get these bizarre, privileged, trophy life experiences just dropped into your lap for free, and then I don't want to sound like a wanker trying to preach about social justice. Like, I feel a bit like if you have a heart and you're paying attention to what this government is doing, it's like daily torture, and then you add onto that the recession and barely scraping out of that and the cut just about starting to bite, and I feel like everything's that bit harder, and I feel awkward. Because, right, for example, I did a show at the Edinburgh Fringe last year in 2011 about realising that I love social justice, and we've already covered how much, but I just love it so much. And during that run of shows, I got given a crate of champagne, which was fucking incredible. And another source of class conflict for me. But then George Galloway says, oh, is champagne not good enough for the workers? Then George Galloway is a massive fucking prick. So oh, no George Galloway fans in Battersea or anywhere on the planet! See, that is not enough of a response. I feel like there's a few people here who are like, oh, we're from the Respect Coalition Christmas party. Well, bad luck. I've been thinking a lot about George Galloway recently because I was thinking about how ridiculous it was that Nadine Dorries, who's so rabid and hates women and hates gay people so much, and she's allowed to go on I'm a Celebrity, and how weird that is. And I feel like she's the only person in the world who saw George Galloway on Celebrity Big Brother and thought,
He's done well out of that. People really respect him now. You shouldn't be allowed to go on like a celebrity fun show if you are that extreme in your views. It's like the fact that Anne Widdecombe is in pantomime this year. Like, you should not be allowed to play a witch if you already are a witch. You should be allowed to do. So I got given this crate of champagne, which, if any of you want to get me a present, just buy me a crate of champagne. And I love that. And then the day before, a friend of mine took me out into a loch to teach me how to water ski, right? I'm not trying to brag, but I was just a natural at it because the poise is very aristocratic. I like to think it's what the characters in Atonement would do if it were updated to a modern setting. So I did that. But it meant that walking into my show about social justice, I said the following sentence, which was, "My wrist is so sore from water skiing, I can't carry my box of champagne." Voice of the people, friend to the oppressed. I just worry that, like, I get too many weird, posh, privileged things happening to me to be helpful. Like, for example, I got given ski gigs. Like, these incredible people, they take you out to the south of France, and all day they teach you how to ski. And then in the evening you get to perform to ski cunts. To the worst people alive is to whom you perform. And I am aware of how dangerous it is to say that in West London. I am aware. But if ever there is not a forum for the discussing of social justice, it is après-ski. Hey guys, I was just thinking about how the super wealthy should earn far less, but be taxed far higher. Stop throwing salopettes at me! Guys, this is a decent bottle of Krug. That did happen. It did. When this guy showed up and he was all drunk and coked up and really wealthy, and he bought 2 bottles of Krug, heckled everyone, fell over, was thrown out, and then they were like, "Whose Krug is this?" And I was like, "Mine, good day!" But I kind of worry that I like too many posh things to be helpful. Like, for example, I really love London City Airport. Have you been there? Don't worry if you've not been there, it's not for us. I like how the only voice I was like, "Have you been there?" Someone went, "Yup, yup. Oh, yeah. It's incredible. You don't even have to fly from there, that's bad for the environment. Just go there on your holidays. It's so posh. It's not even like an airport, it's like the President of Earth's private escape pod for in the event of the apocalypse. It's incredible. I was walking around thinking, oh my God, I can see why all those rich people like all that money they keep making. Oh my God, what is this, £3 for water? It must be the most beautiful water. That's normal water. But I'll treasure the bottle. I haven't convinced you yet. Go there on your holidays. Like, oh my God, what is this? A newsagent or a museum? Who cares? But then I think, well, maybe it's not too bad if I like some really posh things, because then I have something in common with like the 1%, the super wealthy, because those are the people who are in cabinet at the moment. Those are the people who are currently ruling, not representing everyone. Maybe it'd be useful to build some sort of bridges instead of just attack. Please bear with me on this. Because I was reading a letter to the Guardian newspaper. Oh, you like the Guardian? Yes, obviously I like the Guardian. This very good food reportage. And this letter said that, it was in about May this year, it's from Michael Meacher MP, who's a Labour MP, and he said that in the past 3.5 years, since the big financial crash, the wealthiest 1,000 people in our country of 60 million, the wealthiest 1,000 people in the UK have increased their personal private wealth by £155 billion. And it's probably more than that by now, because you know how rich people like all that money they keep making. I warned you that I like to use a voice. And then it said that £155 billion, that figure would have plugged up the entire UK deficit as it stood in May this year. And there'd be £30 billion spare just for scratch cards. You think that's stupid? You spend £30 billion on scratch cards, you will definitely win £1. And if you're smart, you'll put that money straight back in the scratch cards. So I saw those two figures and I was like, oh my God, that is a way that I can genuinely be useful with my bizarre set of trophy life experiences and my posh proclivities and that, and I'm a comedian. It's my job to try and persuade people of things. I can find those 1,000 wealthiest people and like get them. And even though I don't believe that the deficit is a pressing issue, and I can't explain why to you, because every time someone explains it to me, I forget it after like 10 seconds because it is so aggressively boring. But please trust me and not the newspapers. No one is ever convinced of that. It's like, well, even I don't believe the deficit is that pressing an issue, I can find those 1,000 wealthiest people and get them to give them money. I'll be like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm a comedian. I'm kind of like a lay preacher for socialism or some shit. I just think that you should give your money to the country. And they'll be like, I don't think I should do that. And I'll be like, no, I just think you should. And they'll be like, oh yeah, wow! This is like Secret Millionaire, but better! I've never thought of it like that before, and that would be perfect. Everyone, even people who completely disagree with me, make everyone happy. But then I worry because I feel a bit like since 2010, I find myself constantly wrestling with this dichotomy of thought and feeling, where on one hand, I know the point is not for me to be like attacking, it's not even about slagging off Tories or anything, it's about trying to stay kind and humane and not get bitter, and about seeing what I can do that's positive. Like, there's this Philip Larkin, thank you, oh, I like how one person's like, whoa, and everyone else is like, too late. But that's what I feel, like, really strongly. Like, there's this Philip Larkin poem that I think is very beautiful, and in it, by mistake, there is, he runs over a hedgehog with his lawnmower by mistake, and that is not the bit that I think is beautiful. There's a line, and he says, we should be careful of each other, we should be kind while there is still time. And on one hand, I really feel that so deeply. But then on the other hand, I feel a bit like, those Tory cunts should be fucking shot! They should be fucking... Oh, you're going to sell off the NHS in England? No, you're fucking not, mate. Because I'm going to shoot you in the fucking knees. And then we'll see who fucking needs the NHS. Oh, we'll see who needs the fucking NHS when you be shot. Oh, don't try and run away, because then I'll shoot you in the back of the knees. And then the nurses will say, here's another one of them Tory cunt MPs, except this one's a coward. So I'm wrestling with that dichotomy of thought and feeling. And that is where the gig has gone from pleasant enough gig to uncomfortable knee-based rally. But that's the thing, is I wouldn't even want that. I'd be thinking about that side the whole time and trying to think of what I could do for everyone, even people who completely disagree with me. But I just feel like I wouldn't be able to help myself. And like, I'd meet those 1,000 wealthiest people and I'd be like, oh, hi, lovely to meet you. I'd just like to ask you something. How'd you get wealthy if you wasn't a cunt? And they'd be like, I don't need this, I'm getting back into my private helicopter. And I'd be like, please let me come with you. I'm certain that I would make a natural helicopter pilot. I'm so good at skiing, I started to think I must be the last lost member of the Russian royal family. At least throw down some dessert wine. Not this isn't a very good year. I should say that though, like, I do like posh things a lot, but like, really, the idea of being wealthy is sickening to me. It's so crazy. Like, the idea of trying to have that much surplus when people are suffering seems mad. And on top of that, genuinely, I don't see how you could ever be super wealthy without being a massive baddie. And I know it's childish to separate people into goodies and baddies, but seriously, it saves so much time, so let's just fucking get on with it. And by that token, I would like to say I'm starting to suspect that Richard Branson may not be as cool as he kept making himself out to be when I was a child. So whenever I saw him when I was a child, he was so avuncular and fun, you know, like... Hi, pals. Bloody Brunson's back in the house. She's seen it. I'm wearing a beard. Oh, who wears a beard in business? Not your dad. Bloody Branson does. Jeans and a beard. Where am I going? Not the office. That's where your dad would go, Grandad. I'm probably going to the Imagination-orium or something. I just made that up. Classic Branson invention. Classic Branson innovation. Who wants a cola? No, I'll make my own special cola. So, do you want a Pepsi? I'll say, no thanks, I've got my own.
Nobody? It's delicious. I'm just putting it down because my arm's tired. But now, whenever I see him on an advert or whatever, and by the way, I knew when it was Usain Bolt and not him. I think, why is he buying everything? What does he want with owning children's healthcare in Surrey? What do you know about those children, Branson? Special children, is it? Wow. I did warn you, so... and it reminds me of a book that I really like called Jailbird by Kurt Vonnegut. And in it, there's this corporation called the Ramjack Corporation, and they're really sinister, and they're really, evil, and everyone hates them, and they keep buying up everything. Like, they buy up all the schools, and they buy up all the hospitals, and they start buying up all the factories. And everyone's like, damn you, Ramjack! Why you gotta own everything, Ramjack? Right, but at the end of the book, and by the way, spoiler alert! Sorry. But don't later people are like, oh, I wanted to read that. Bad luck, you had your chance. It was till now, surprise! Life is unpredictable. So, in it, the Ramjack Corporation, they buy up everything. But at the end of the book, it transpires that the Ramjack Corporation is a group of mischievous, mastermind, elderly socialists. And what they do is at the very end of the book, they gift everything back to the people. And that's my one shred of hope remaining regarding Richard Branson. So that come 2025, he'll be like... It was for you! Classic Branson innovation. Where am I going? The moon. I'm going to the moon in London City Airport. It was mine all along. I am too noble for this earth. I have done all I can for you, but now I must leave. But before I go, please will somebody take some of the colas, because I've got so many left. I know it's not the same. Please. Come on, guys. Even the Tories here can agree that Virgin Cola is fucking bullshit. Even the UKIP here. UKIP. The only thing I have to say about UKIP is, what a bunch of pricks. That's enough really, isn't it? You don't need to get more sophisticated than that. But the thing is that what worries me about the whole Richard Branson thing is, I have to keep reminding myself that he's not going to do that. I have to keep going, oh yeah, he's just nicking everything. Oh yeah. And I feel rubbish that being who I am, all I can do is imagine these things that aren't going to help. Like, I feel a little bit useless in counteracting this government that I completely disagree with at every turn. And it's partly because I feel like things have changed. Like, in 2010, when the government changed, when this government got in, that completely changed my life because it politicised me for the first time ever. Like, before that, I was really complacent. I let anything happen. And then after that, I got really informed about things and found out about people and met loads of people and went on actions and demos and protests and joined groups like UK Uncut and things like that. And that actually felt really exciting and quite powerful. But then the problem is now, it's 2012, and we're 2.5 years in, and they are literally selling off the NHS in England all the time, and it's not being reported properly. And when I try and talk to people about it, they look at me like I'm David Icke, who was right about paedophiles in the 1970s. I feel exhausted, and I feel crushed, and I feel heartbroken, and we're just 2.5 years in, and there's just another 2.5 years to go. And then in 2015, if Labour get in, that's not good enough. Like, I want to see change. I want massive redistribution of wealth. And that's not going to happen unless there's some kind of horrible, bloody revolution. And I don't want that to happen. I do want that to happen. I desperately want that to happen. If one of you will start it, I will back you up. Listen to me. I will back you up. I've got your back because I'm a coward, but I have good cardio. Like, really good. I know it doesn't show, but that's how I get through the roadblock or whatever, and I'll be like, bam, up a mountain or whatever, and then I set off a beacon, and people are like, oh, the revolution started, and I'll be like, damn straight, now you have to carry me down on a sedan chair. I am so glad you went with that, because it really is a sticking point for me. And a lot of the time the crowd doesn't go for it, and I think, that's the problem with the left in this country. Not enough cohesion, not enough me being carried around on a sedan chair. But it just doesn't seem fair, you know, because before, right,
before the Conservatives got into power, before they formed the coalition, I saw them on the horizon. And I was like, no way, man, no! No way! No bloody, no, right? I was like furious about it. I was like, no, man, they are liars and they will self-privatise everything they can, like in that Naomi Klein book that I haven't read, but I totally get the gist of. Liars! Bloody make aggressive customer economy will contract and it will never grow again properly again, and they will do everything they can, and they are no! And then what happens? 2.5 years in, double-dip recession, I am right. So what should happen now is that I win. I'm right, someone should come on now, give me a decent bottle of champagne, like, well done, you won. We all refuse to sing the national anthem and it's over. Like, the prize for being right all along should not be another 2.5 years of this shit. Like, I've only got a tiny gasp of youth left. I can't waste it ranting, I'm very busy. Loads on. And it reminds me a bit of the Spice Girls. Because before the Spice Girls got into power, I saw them on the horizon. And I was like, no way, man, no, they are vulgar. They are so vulgar. No, they are vulgar. Like that bit in the song Two Become One, when Emma Bunton sings a line that is literally about putting on a condom. Be a little bit wiser, baby. Put it on. I can't even finish it. It's so long. Even though I was on the side of truth and righteousness, I had to just endure that for 10 years of my life. And now, thankfully, they are all dead. Put down like faithful old cart horses at the very end of the Olympics closing ceremony. Along the lines of, look into the distance, Mel B. It's the farm that you always do. Look into the distance, Mel C. It's the treadmill that... I should say I do feel a bit guilty saying that because sometimes I like to think about the fact that Emma Bunton is still happily married to Jade from the boy band Damage. Like such a warm glow. I get such a warm glow. I just think you kept your stomach covered for the whole 1990s. Good for you. I also like to use that bit to weed out unlikely Emma Bunton fans. Wait, I feel like I can't believe that this massive outpouring of energy and protest and everything has led to this now. Like, I feel about like one of those soldiers that was conned into fighting in the First World War, you know, like, oh, it'll all be over by Christmas, and now look at me. I'm old, I'm jaded, I'm sallow, I've got trench foot, and all of the poetry that I've written is bad. So I've been trying to think of strategies. Like help people get through the next couple of years, because I don't want it to be like, just until there's any chance of a change, you know, I just don't want it to be that if people feel the same way, that we're all so pathetic and beaten down by 2015 that we're like, oh, stop hitting me, oh, privatise whatever you like but do it quietly. I don't want that. So I've been trying to think of strategies to get people through just until there's any chance of a change, for good or for ill. Hopefully UKIP, not UKIP. And this is the first strategy, and it's very simple. And the first strategy is rename your toilet Michael Go. It gets better when you start thinking about what you do to the toilet. You piss and shit in the toilet, sir. Piss and shit in the toilet. That is my favourite line in the whole show, and every audience's least favourite line. But I know a lot of you now are thinking, there is no way that I'm rechristening Barry. But I say you should. Because it gives you a delightful frisson with the toilet, where you're like, I'm not going to clean you, Michael Gove. I hope a rat does come up out of your mouth. I like to pretend that I'm Elizabeth Taylor whenever I go in the toilet. And the kitchen and the bedroom. Woo! I do have another strategy, but it's slightly more complicated, but I do have another strategy. But that is basically, you know how, prior to the 2010 election, whenever you'd hear the Conservative Party on the radio or see a member of them on the television or read about them in the newspapers, they'd always be really like, guys, we're not right-wing anymore. The environment to the shop. Who wants a cola? I drink cola. I'm just putting it down because my hand's tied. But you know how pretty much as soon as the coalition was formed, like as soon as they got into power, they were like, surprise! After the general election. I can't tell you how excited I was at the thought of. Because you guys were coming in like nice plants, and I was thinking, I'm going to kick the shit out of the plants! You have no idea! Also, I'm fully aware that in an intimate setting such as this, it does just seem like I'm having a breakdown. But seriously? Sorry. Do you remember how that happened in May 2010? Now, you know how whenever you see Ed Miliband on the television, or read about him in the newspapers, or hear him on the radio, and sometimes he'll do quite a good speech off notes, and I think like, yay! And then other times I'll be like, stop saying right-wing things! And, but you know how whenever you see him like on PMQs, sometimes it's quite good, but pretty much whenever you see him on the television, or hear him on the radio, or anything like that, he'll be like this. Please stop saying I'm left wing, I'm not left wing. It's my strategy. Because if all politics has shifted to the same middle ground, and all politicians are exactly the same, if he gets in 2015, just like to think about the first speech you have to give, and they say, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to announce that the results of the general election are through, and we can now go live to the first speech from the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Mr. Ed Miliband." Listen to me, you cunt. That wasn't even my real voice. You think you know all about me? I'm Ed fucking Miliband. You cunts don't know the first fucking thing about me. I heard what you've all been saying about me. You cunts are gonna wish you'd never been fucking born. You wanna know about me? I like to party, fuck, and fight Tories. And I'm bored of the first two. Your worst fucking nightmare. How much do you earn? How much do you earn? You tell me how much you earn. Is it more than £300,000 a year? Do you want to know what your new tax bracket is? 100%. Don't try and leave. I
I'll tax you everything you've got to leave. I made fucking Milliband. I'm nationalising everything. You like the trains? No cunt likes the fucking trains! They're my fucking trains now. You like your mansion? I burnt it down. Don't go running to private hospital, because oops. I burnt those as well. You better pick up the kids from public school, because I smell bad!
I'll tell you what my manifesto is. Milliband, Millismash, Milliburn!
I should say, sorry, firstly, it's not a real gun. Look, I wouldn't even take that risk. It's not a real gun. Secondly, sorry, that's a bit aggressive. Also, I should say, I know it's a bit grim, me flobbing up on the floor. Especially because I've got tuberculosis, so... Should think better. Also, sorry, because I am aware that is probably not going to happen. Like, I know there's like a 10% chance that won't happen. But, seriously, you should do that, because it makes him so much more fun to watch when he comes on the TV. If in the back of the mind, when he's like, oh, I'm a passionate defender of social justice, and I think, damn straight you are, Milliband. Oh, I know what you got planned. Millismash, Milliband, let's do it, you delightful red bastard. I'm so bored of waiting. That's how I watch the television in my own home. I should say the £300,000 100% tax bracket and the taxing people everything they've got to leave, those are genuine policies of one of the top 5 presidential hopefuls in France who didn't win, but nonetheless, Mélenchon. I love the French. They are better than us in every way. Mainly in the cheese-based ways. Even Hollande, who's not been that great a president with his 50% women in cabinet, is really spoiling us ladies. Oh, that is what representative government looks like. I've never seen it in my own country. I know, it's the best Japanese accent you've ever heard. The thing is, I know it's a bit pathetic to idolise the French like that. I know they've got their own problems, and I can't help myself, and I do it with Scotland as well. Like, I stare at Scotland like it's a beautiful socialist republic, and I stare at it like, oh, I'm going to move to Glasgow. I'm going to move to Glasgow. Because that is what Glasgow means. A whole raft of people like me showing up. Like, up the workers! But I'm not going to have a shit job, no. This latte is burnt. This coconut water is not the brand I like. Your tube is small. Thank you, sir. But the thing is, genuinely, sometimes all I can do to get through the day is fantasise about running away or giving up, and I don't feel like I've got the personal strength just to keep going year on year on year. I don't feel like I've got it in me anymore. And that is partly because, for the first time in my life, in the last 18 months, I think I had a proper crisis, like where I lost faith in my life and my decisions. Like before that, I'd had bad things happen, but I've always been kind of sure in my core. And then this time, I completely freaked out and lost faith. This is what happened. In April this year, I turned 30. I was hoping you'll be like, no! But you're like, yeah, fair enough. So I turned 30 in April this year. I gave you another shot! Fuck, man. I turned 30 in April this year. Thank you. The key is, stay chubby and don't wash your face. Gentlemen. So, I turned 30 in April this year. And when I turned 29 in April last year, because that's how birthdays work in East London, it's like that in West London, I don't know. I turned 29 in April last year, and my life was completely different then. I was living with someone who I loved, and if you'd have said to me, are you going to marry that person? I'd have been like, 100%, yes I am. And then we moved from one flat to another, and that decision sent me spiralling, and I changed my mind and doubted everything, and I changed my mind about everything in my life, and that completely floored me, and like, it's not even really funny, it's just sad, which I am sorry about. But at the same time, like I said, I want you to know, but I don't want you to feel sorry for me or worry about me. And I don't know if you are, you're probably not anyway, and I know that this disrupts the narrative flow of this a bit, because some of you now will be thinking at the moment, like, oh, does she kill herself at the end? Spoiler alert! No, I'm fine.
But and I've been so cocky about it beforehand. I was like, I am more in love than any of you pricks have ever been. You pricks don't know what love is. Bad like you bunch of pricks. Which in retrospect seems a lot like hubris. But I'd never, and as well with London, like I lost my faith in living in London. I thought that would never happen to me. But then it's been sort of exacerbated by the fact that London has voted in a Tory mayor twice. Why, to vote in a Tory mayor once is like carelessness. He can't even go down a zip wire correctly. All you need in order to do that is gravity. A dog can go down a zip wire. Please don't ask me how I know, but I definitely know. And I found myself going from all that security of being with someone I love and knowing I was right about everything to feeling completely alone and isolated and living on my own in a flat in Dalston. And I should never have lived in Dalston. Dalston is a very fashionable part of East London. I'm not a fashionable person. I only have one look. And well, my look is called Norwegian Boy. I like the fact that I'm wearing a dress and you still laughed at it. And I was living in a warehouse conversion along the lines of, hey guys, we've converted a warehouse. You should totally come. It's so safe. It's so safe. Oh, safe, man. Come out of warehouse. Oh, cool. How did you do it? What materials did you use? Cardboard? How's that for noise transfer? Oh, it's great. You can hear everyone all night long. It's so cold. So I was living in a warehouse conversion, and I was surrounded by all these people who worked in fashion PR. Yeah, like they'd seen the fashion industry and gone, I love it, but there's just too much of a heart and soul in it for me. I am so relieved that you're not all fashion PRs. And then I could hear them through the walls, and I know it's stupid to judge people, but it felt like they were braying things like, we've stolen your children's healthcare. We're all on ketamine and you're too frightened to try it. I found myself getting more and more awkward and frightened and alone, and I was freaking out about it, and I had friends but I wouldn't talk to them about it, and I had family but they've all moved to Tenerife, which leads me to suspect that they are sex criminals on the run. Seriously, why else would you live there? There's not even a natural beach. I have another piece of evidence. They were also alive in the 1970s. I'm sorry, I'm so creeped out by all of that. I feel like, I used to think that the UK was a fairly uncorrupt country, and now I feel like we are worse than Jersey. We are only marginally better than the Isle of Man. And that is because, one, Jeremy Clarkson lives there, and two, in the Isle of Man, it was illegal to be gay until 1996. I just wanted to say it because it's so fucked up. What the fuck, Isle of Man? Your name is Isle of Man. Which is why everyone on the Isle of Wight is so horrendously racist. So my life got smaller and smaller, and I found myself getting more and more angry and insecure and upset, and I started dressing as unflatteringly as possible in the hope that when the fashion people saw me, it would make them feel physically sick. Along the lines of, is that a coat or a duvet? Come along, Maurice, we're leaving. Maurice is a dachshund and not a tiny man who needs to be carried around. And around that time, I got mildly fixated. The only thing that used to cheer me up was I had like one ray of sunshine, and that was over the corridor from me in the warehouse conversion, there lived the coolest couple in the history of cool couples I have ever encountered. And they were a lesbian couple who both looked and both dressed like sailors. If they had been ginger and Scottish as well, I would have died! I would have died! That's the coolest thing in the world! Please don't judge me. Everyone has prejudices. I just have a very positive prejudice towards lesbians. Like, I'm not a lesbian, but I did used to be in a lesbian football team. But I was the worst one at both of those things. I never scored.
Oh my God, I love that couple so much, and I wanted them to be my best friends so hard that they could smell it on me, and it sickened them. And I would try so hard, I'd be like, oh hi, I'm a comedian, you should come to my gigs. We don't really have that in France, comedians, because of course they were French! They had a pug dog, of course they did. Not in a bad way, in an incredible way. Sometimes the pug would wear a bandana and it just looked like the tiniest, happiest cowboy on earth! Oh my God, the pug dog had no idea, it had not received the memo about how it was supposed to despise me. And every day I'd come out and be like, oh hi, I like the Olympics, did you like the Olympics? We have a parcel for you from River Island. Please don't judge me, I put on weight around my stomach and I wanted to suck it in and hold it with high-waisted jeans. I don't know what River Island is. Of course you don't, why won't you be my best friend? And then the dog would be like, and I'd be like, he really loves me, doesn't he? Get in the house, not you, I speak only to Alistair. And around that time, I did get mildly fixated on looking at things to do before you're 30 lists. Because I could see my 30th birthday looming. And you can't help but kind of compare yourself to everyone else. And I started thinking, well, what have I got? And I thought, well, what I do have is bizarre trophy life experiences. That's all these lists are. I won't feel so inadequate. And I thought I'd show you. Give you a few of my favourite lists, just so you get the gist. They are all delightfully shit. My favourite one is msnlive.co.uk. The news arm of Hotmail exclusively in the UK. Oh, I better find out what Hotmail's UK angle on this bit of news is. Whoa, we all check that. Do you guys remember Hotmail? You find now when someone still has a Hotmail, you're a bit like, no! And do you have a Nokia 3210? Shall I send you a fax to 1999? May I pay you with a cheque? I've got a flatmate now, that is my favourite in-joke that I have with him. That is my favourite, and it's called, May I pay you with a cheque? It's basically just that. Can we get the bus? Well, I haven't got any cash. You could pay the man with a cheque. You're welcome. You're very welcome. So, now, I like to imagine you get sent these lists as a set of forms on your 29th birthday by the government. And if you do not tick them off in order, by the day you turn 30, the red light in your hand starts flashing and you have to go to carousel. Thank you. That was a joke for people who like Logan's Run. And for everyone else, it's a creepy reminder that you don't know what Logan's Run is and maybe time is running out. That's another reference to Logan's Run. If I didn't know what Logan's Run was, I'd feel as out of touch as an old man hiding in an abandoned library surrounded by cats. Forget it. Now, give me a little cheer if you are under 30. Please can I come to your party? I just want to try Ritalin like one time. I'm deadly serious. Now, if you are under 30, you will listen to this list and you'll be like, I will have done all of that by the time I'm 30. I probably will have written a novel by the time I'm 30. Spoiler alert, you won't! Now, if you're over 30, give me a little cheer. That was not too bad. Sometimes people are like, ooh, and everyone's like, yeah, man, yeah, good. Well, if you're over 30, you can work out whether or not you should feel grindingly inadequate on a daily basis. Spoiler alert, of course you shouldn't. We should all just enjoy the little time that we have left. Okay, so this is the list. Number 1, deliciously vague, go travelling. Easy, done. The next one is a list of must-watch films, presumably compiled by a psychopath, under the proviso, nothing foreign and nothing cold, like me and the women I harass. Goodfellas, Pulp Fiction, Scarface, Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Gladiator, The Lord of the Rings trilogy. That would take up all the time until you turn 30. They're long films, is what I'm trying to say. Kill Bill 1, Kill Bill 2, Alien, Aliens, Jaws, Die Hard, Gross Point Blank. Now, you may like that film. That film is not one of the top 10 best films ever made. Like, Citizen Kane is not on this list. Casablanca is not on this list. Tokyo Story, the BFI best film in the history of film, is not on this list. I haven't seen those films. I'm assuming they're classics. Next on the list, Live in London. Easy! Done! Then it's run a marathon. It's always run a marathon. That just makes me think all a marathon is a flock of desperate looking 20-year-olds. I have to do this for some reason. Stop flashing! Stop flashing! Next on the list, drive the Pacific Coast Highway. I can't drive. It should be learn to drive. That was a terrifying afternoon. Next on the list, have sex by 29. Have sex by 29. Lose your virginity by 20. Do not patronise me, msnlive.co.uk. I'm fully aware that I am chubby and awkward and weird, alright? I have fucking done it loads, mate. I'm not even trying to boast, even though I'm definitely the best at it, but I'm not, no, I don't even think that. I'm just saying, I'm from Orpington in Kent. That's a thing to do by 14. Next on the list, go to a music festival. At 29, after all that sex you just started having, maybe you'll have your first beer as well. On the rampage at 29 of a music festival. The next one sounds like the desperate pleas of the parents of a willfully sick child. Try different foods. And then blithe as they, get on the property ladder. It is not that easy, Amazon Live. No, it's really easy. We bought our place for 5k in 1985 and now it's worth $750,000. Ah, fuck you old people. Thank you. Sorry, old people. Next on the list, visit Paris. Don't mind if I do, I love the French. Blow £500 in one night. Get a savings account. The next one is do something for charity, and that irks me because I feel a bit like if by 29 you've never. Sorry, I was just studiously avoiding the flub. But if I'm honest, I don't know what I've done. Oh, it's under the mic stand. Do you guys think less of me? But yeah, do something for charity. It irks me, not of itself, but because if by 29 you've never done a charitable thing, I don't think going, I'm doing a 5k walk is enough to redeem it. I feel like if by 29 you've never thought about those less fortunate than yourself, you've not devoted a second of your time to charitable means, what you can do for the good of humanity is throw yourself off of a building. And by all means get sponsorship for that and make it a big deal. Next on the list, quit your job. What? I just bought a house for you, MSN Live. I mean, okay, well, maybe the next thing is how to set up a business or what to do next. Have a weekend in New York City. Are you high? Who's paying for this, MSN? Then there is a list of must-read books, presumably compiled by a 15-year-old girl. Catcher in the Rye, Romeo and Juliet, 1984, fair enough. The Harry Potter series, you were turning 30, not 11. The Lord of the Rings trilogy. Really? Because I just watched the film. Those books are like 1,000 pages each, and a third of that is walking. Oh, here's another 50 pages of songs in a language I invented. Oh, fucking. Get back to describing the food in great detail. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Brave New World, On the Road, no, and fuck off with the film. Catch-22, Lord of the Flies, Animal Farm. Really? If you've read 1984, you don't have to do the pig. Even George Orwell was like, guys, sorry about the pig one. I'm talking pig, what was I smoking? I was high. He said that in a radio interview on the BBC. Next on the list, own a convertible. I still cannot drive. You want me to live in it when they take my house off me? Buy wine worth more than £50. Now, they do not say whether they mean one bottle or bulk. Because if they mean bulk, I'm gonna shelf sweep at Aldi. I'm just a big fan of Aldi. I like it for the mystery aisle, because it still has a mystery aisle. So you'll be like, oh, what do I need? Onions, tomatoes, wetsuit. Next on the list, climb a mountain. Easy, done. Doesn't say get back down. Fine. Sorry, there's a couple more. Jettison your long-term relationship, move in on your own, and wear a coat shaped like a duvet, moping from one Turkish supermarket in Dalston to another, comparing the prices of Sharon fruit or persimmon fruit on a little notebook and thought specifically for that purpose. It kind of creeps you out because you're thinking like, why have I got a notebook for this when there's people using food banks in this country and I can afford this? I'm a yuppie. I'm the worst kind of yuppie. I'm as bad as American Psycho because he actually doesn't do the murders, he just imagines it. That's a very niche joke. Worry that you are too eccentric / untalented / difficult to make it big in showbiz. Shout, I long for death! When the people who live in the hipster kennel or hipster bunker or whatever the fuck it is that you are paying double rent for next door to you start a cocaine party. Who has a cocaine party? You're not Elton John in the late 1970s. Start a cocaine party. Start it at 4:30 in the morning, which is not when you start a party, that's when you finish it. You don't know about fun, do you? And then finish it at 7:30 in the morning by playing in a manner that you can only divine to be ironic Annie Lennox's song Why, when all you can think is, that's a good point, Annie Lennox. Why? And I have done those three, so doing quite well. But that's the thing. The more I looked at the list, the more I thought, oh my God, I don't have any of that stuff. I don't have any of the big stuff. I don't have a car. I can't even drive. I don't have kids. I don't have a house. I'm not married. I started thinking, what do I have? And I've got my job and I love it, but it's so transitory and strange, and you're not in one place properly. You're not working in the day. It's like you're deliberately keeping yourself a child. And I started thinking, I'm not doing it right. Everyone else is properly becoming adults and I'm not doing it. And I started feeling like I'm doing this wrong. And I think as well, to be on the left, whatever that means anymore, but to be on the left in London at the moment, it feels a bit like you're born, you live, you fight and you die on the losing team, and every day you get kicked for it, and every day you get called a wanker for it in the Evening Standard newspaper. That's not what I want from the Evening Standard newspaper. I just want very long restaurant reviews that focus heavily on the main course. Or at the very least, photo spreads of unlikely animal friendships. I started thinking, I'm 30, and what have I even got anymore? Like, all these things that I thought were rock solid have gone, and all I've got is this massive sense of doubt about everything. Like, I know myself better, but I like myself less. And then I think, how are you supposed to fight politically on big things if you can't even like or trust yourself enough? Like, for example, I'm going to put my shoes on to say this, I am definitely a massive hypocrite. I don't want to be, but I definitely am. Like, I'll give you an example. I hate Tesco's. Clever me. But everyone hates Tesco's. No one is going to be like, no, they do great things for the local community. Everyone hates Tesco's. They are obvious, clear baddies of the highest order. Even Mark Tesco, the CEO of Tesco's. I haven't researched that. Everyone hates Tesco's, right? And if you don't yet hate Tesco's, I can give you a reason. During the News of the World phone hacking scandal, when it transpired that the News of the World had hacked into the phone of a murdered girl, everyone got really angry, and myself included. We went on Twitter and we sent messages to all the corporations that advertise in the News of the World, like, hey Argos, hey Sainsbury's, hey Tesco's, are you going to keep advertising in the News of the World now they've done this morally bankrupt thing? And all of them were like, no. Except Tesco's, who were like, fuck her and fuck you. What are you going to do? You went out. Your house is a Tesco Metro now. But I want to use the kitchen. That's £5. But it was £3 yesterday. You've got no choice now. Now eat this nectarine, which is simultaneously mouldy and unripe. Crunchy and brown. tastes like the ghost of a tomato. So I hate Tesco's. Everyone hates Tesco's. And yet, I will still bloody go into it. Like, not all the time. There's one in my boyfriend's house, it's convenient, and I will go into it with this pathetic sense of resigned defeat. Along the lines of, you in Tesco. Like that same feeling you get whenever you go into an all bar one. Or any sort of chain restaurant or bar, just like, just tell me what different kinds of fun I'm allowed to have. I won't be troubled. Yes, I've been to a Nando's before, I get it. You order over there, it's a revolution. That is pathetic, and I wouldn't do that with all my life. I wouldn't be like, hey guys, I got married. Who did you marry? I married Mike. But you hate Mike. Yeah. He lives next door. It's convenient to marry Mike. It's a Thursday night. Who do you want me to marry on a Thursday night? Toast. Again. I'm not marrying Toast. Toast doesn't have a car, ladies. I really like the one person clap once for that. But the worst thing about Tesco's is I feel like Tesco's hate me. They're the opposite of me. Like, they're Tory party donors. That's the opposite of me, because I rub off them, ladies. No, but that's the opposite of me. And they hate me, and they deliberately troll me, and I will still go back for more. Like, whenever there's a new Tesco's opened up in like a closed down library or an abandoned community centre or whatever, and it will say, your new Tesco Metro opening now. Like, they specifically know that I don't own anything and they're just trying to get at me. Like, it's your Tesco, it's not my Tesco's. And I hate that. Like, especially when M&S are like, it's your M&S. And I just think, well, it's not my M&S, is it? And I know that because I tried to have a sleep in there once. And it was very difficult. But I did succeed. The key is, look like a loaf of bread. I think that gets to me so much because genuinely, when I felt really alone and really pathetic in the last couple of years, I think the things you're supposed to always feel like you've got a stake in and feel like you own and feel like you're part of or you can rely on are big public things like the NHS, things like the welfare state, and these are the things that have been cut up and given away with nobody's consent. And then I think about public spaces, and sometimes in London I just want to go somewhere that is outside and mine and free and know that I'm not going to get moved on. And it's amazing to me how many places in London are in public, but they're not publicly owned at all. Like, they're privately owned, privately maintained, and have been for decades. And that freaks me out. And especially like if you go into a nice new town and you see like a cool piazza, so that's the kind of posh town I go into. And I think that gets to me because I have a massive, unjustified sense of entitlement. I just think I deserve all the best stuff in an aristocratic lifestyle. I definitely deserve free education and free healthcare, because everybody does. But then what I worry is, like, whatever that is, arrogance or audacity or entitlement, like, whatever made me decide that I was going to be a comedian because fuck having a plan B, that is the same thing. Like, that's what I most have in common with David Cameron. That's not ideal. Because he didn't even win the election and then straight away was like, bad luck, you bunch of pricks, this is all mine and my mates. He said that in an interview on the BBC. And then he even says stuff that I totally think as well, but he says it from like a doppelganger evil through the mirror way. So he'll be like, I just think everyone should be privileged. And I'm like, no, you fucking don't. That's what I... give me your horse. It is obvious I would be a natural at dressage. But then I think, well, why is it only privileged people that swan through life doing what they want and getting what they want from me? Like, why is it that most people are like, oh, not for me, oh, sorry, oh, just be quiet. Like, I hate that. I wish that everyone here would take on that level of audacity or take on that level of entitlement or arrogance or whatever it is. Like, I wish everyone here was that much of a prick. But for the forces of good. And when I think about pricks for good, which I do all the time, ladies, I think a lot This is my big example of a prick for the forces of good. Dennis Skinner MP, right? Dennis Skinner MP is the MP for Bolsover in Derbyshire, right? Firstly, he's not that much of a hypocrite. Like, you can respect him a bit. Like, he didn't take a wage during the miners' strike out of solidarity. He's never had a drink in the House of Commons bar because it's subsidised. He's never even had a free lunch, which in my opinion is stupid, unfathomable behaviour. If there was a free buffet, I don't give a shit if he's putting it on. I'll be like, Goldman Sachs, what? But on top of that, he's also a really audacious, really sarcastic, bit of a prick. But for the forces of good. And this is my best example, right? Every year, to open Parliament, there's a ceremony, the Black Rod ceremony, where the figure of Black Rod comes, knocks on the door, and gives a little speech, and all of Parliament is there. It's very respectful, it's very official. This is what happens. Black Rod comes out. The Queen requests your humble presence in the House of Peers. Reverent silence, very respectful, very official. And every year, in that reverent silence, Dennis Skinner deliberately winds up the Queen. Every year, Dennis Skinner deliberately trolls the Queen with a topical comment tailored specifically to the past year's political or cultural events. For example, the year the film The Queen came out, in that reverent silence, he said, "Have you got Helen Mirren on standby?" Oh, he did! The motherfucking Queen, he did! This year, Diamond Jubilee in a double dip recession. Oh, what a great start! I know that isn't that great, but he is 80 years old. I didn't even realise it was the Diamond Jubilee. I thought it was golden. And I was like, Diamond, what? I said to my friend, like, how long is Diamond? What comes after Diamond? And she went, death. In 1991, Dennis Skinner was like, I bet he drinks Carling Black Label. Which at the time was very topically observed and very on point. And oh my God, all the old Tories fucking hate it. They're like, you're ruining our special thing. Be quiet. Shame on you. Shame on you. Disgrace. You're a disgrace. Be quiet. Shame, sir. But everyone else fucking loves it. Fucking love it. Even Black Rod bang into it. And I know that because once there is a YouTube video of after Dennis Skinner says his quip, Black Rod goes, "Oh, I've missed you, Dennis." Short of chasing him around to the Benny Hill theme tune, I don't know what could make it more of a cake. And it made me think, if I'm going to have to keep fighting my whole life, and I'm probably going to lose most of the time, I've got to try and have a bit more fun with it. But the problem is, like, I hate the idea that I'm too ranty and I'm never going to be a politician, but I don't want to be all talk either. But then I think Dennis Skinner once did a filibuster speech, which is where you just chat on and on and on and on, and you block your opponent's bill, and he did it to protect abortion rights. Ladies, what a dreamboat! And it made me think, well, maybe sometimes there's a benefit in just chatting on and on and on and on, regardless of the results. And in that respect, I consider myself to be a great hero. Hero to many. But it made me want to do activism again, but do it on my own terms. Like, make it about comedy and joy, but also make it about something audacious. Like, do something in the spirit of audacity. And this is what I did, right? Me and my friends got together, and in the spirit of audacity, we rented a van. And that's what we did. No. And we went around the country performing gigs off the back of it, using a van lights as headlights and a bed sheet as a backdrop. And we performed in towns that people slag off as dumps. So that's like my pet peeve. I hate it when people are like, oh, we've got private this and that, there's a shithole, as if those two things aren't related to one another. Yeah. And we performed to three types of people. Teenagers that I had corralled out of bus shelters by being like, hey, I'm like a cool teacher. Cute people off of Twitter and genuine vagrants. And that's a lovely mix because they want to hang out but they don't know what to do. So you have the Twitter people being like, hey guys, we brought cupcakes, don't worry, they are vegan. And I'm like, it's cute that you care, but they definitely don't. And we performed in places that were in public but not publicly owned, like yuppie piazzas and the tops of car parks and underpasses. And one of the reasons we did that is because I wanted to see if we, as a bunch of people who don't own anything, could show up and grab something for a bit, just take it, claim it, occupy it, demand it, make it ours. I wanted to see if we could get away with it.
And it turns out, yeah, it's fine. Anyone could do it. Nobody notices, nobody cares. And I was so worried about the police. I was like, oh God, what if the police come? I love going to America so much. Please don't take it away from me. No. The only times the police came, they were so into it as to completely undermine our credibility. Look at this, Barry, look, it's a little comedy gig. Hello. The old Bill showed up at your comedy gig. Oh, hope you don't mind if the old Bill sitting have a watch. We'll have a laugh, don't we, Buzzer? The old Bill loves a laugh. So, you gonna heckle us at your comedy gig? You gonna heckle the old Bill? No, that's not even how heckling works. Don't understand anything, Dad. And the best gig that we did was on the Isle of Sheppey in Kent. Well, I love Sheppey in Kent too, but where was the gig? Come on. It was on the Isle of Sheppey. Well, I love Sheppey in Kent, but tell us where the gig was. I'm telling you, we did a gig on the Isle of... Well, we all love Sheppey in Kent, but tell us where the gig was. I'm telling you, we did a gig on the... Well, I love Sheppey in Kent. Tell us where the gig... I'm telling you, we did a gig on the... Oh, fuck you, man. Tell us where the... I'm telling you, we did a gig on the Isle of... Well, I love Sheppey in Kent. Sorry, I know this is tedious, guys, but they won't let it go. So we did a gig on the Isle of Sheppey. Well, I love Sheppey. We did a gig on the Isle of Sheppey in Kent. And I'm from Kent, and Kent is wildly unequal. And so I was like, we're private, it's bad luck, chav scum, Sheppey scum. And Sheppey is the most maligned bit of Kent. But Sheppey is also the coolest, weirdest, best part of the entire UK, right? This is how much the Isle of Sheppey is maligned and hated by the rest of Kent. There is a World War II warship full to the brim with unexploded bombs sunk half a mile off the coast of Sheppey. And if those bombs were to detonate, the entire the ensuing tidal wave and blast would completely destroy the entire Isle of Sheppey too, but where would it destroy, and all of the surrounding Medway towns. And the Kent County Council knows this. They just don't care. They don't care. Their only official response is going to be like, chillax, those bombs are perfectly safe. The only way they'd possibly detonate would be if they came into any contact whatsoever with salt water. So there, in the shadow of death, we are performing to rough as fuck 13-year-olds. We were like, I jumped off that cliff and I broke my arm, I'll show you. And we're like, get the first aid kit. And it was brilliant. But I kind of thought it would bring down the government straight away. I thought George Osborne would be like, hello? They've done what? I love Sheppey too, but where have they done it? Plan B, I'm afraid. And that didn't happen. But then something happened, because after the gig, these kids came up to us and they were like, you know that word Tory? Yeah, they've done that to us because they closed our community centre, they closed our youth centre. And I was like, fuck, they don't even know what the words mean. Like, they just think their stuff's getting taken off them because they're shit, Sheppey shit, and life is shit, so why wouldn't it? And I feel like by going there, we could say, you're not alone in this. It's not just happening to you. It's happening all over the place, and plenty of people disagree with it. And I also feel a little bit like by showing up where nothing's going on and making something a bit mad and a bit weird happen out of nowhere, like maybe we could show them that they could do something like that, or they could make more happen where they live than they thought, and like even do more with their lives than they thought. Like, and genuinely, if there's one thing that I would want to say with this show is you have so much more power over your community than you think you do. You have so much more power over your life than you think you do, but you have to be active. Like, you have to, like if everyone here, after you've seen this show, go back to where you live and think about your community. Go back to where you live and join the EDL. Can you imagine if that was the end of my show? It's like, yeah, join the EDL. Peace out. But obviously don't join the fucking EDL! Surprise! That's the surprise motto of my show is don't join the EDL because those people are cunts. The EDL, don't join the fucking punk, don't punch you guys. Don't join the EDL. These guys are obviously dicks. Join the BNP because they're better organised. Don't join the fucking BNP! Join UKIP, don't you fucking join it. But the thing is anyway, like it wasn't a short-term goal doing those gigs. It was a long-term goal to set up sleeper cells of socialist children. And then in 10 years we activate them to murder their conservative peers. I honestly don't know what effect it had. Like it could have had no good effects. It could have had bad effects, I guess. Like I fully appreciate that me bellowing to teenagers in an underpass wearing a coat shaped like a duvet sounds worrying at best. But it felt like something helpful that I could do. And I feel a bit like if you can think of anything that is positive and useful that you can do to counteract these cuts that this government is making, to counteract everything that this government is doing, then you should do it and do it quickly. And I was trying to think about how to end my show, and I was reading a book by Alistair Gray, who's a Scottish writer. I like everything Scottish, and he wrote a book called Lanark, and I was reading that. And near the end of it, he quotes a line from Faust by Goethe. In translation, I can't speak German, and the line is, "It's a great life if you don't weaken." And it kind of jumped out at me, and I wanted to say it on stage because that's what I want. I want a great life, I want a marvellous life. I don't want a normal life. I want a fantastic, epic, luxurious, wonderful life. But the problem is you don't want to settle down because you don't want to settle for anything, and you don't want to accept what this government's doing because it's not good enough. And then I guess the problem is weakening, because sometimes it's so hard not to descend into cynicism and bitterness and despair. And like, I'm a natural optimist. It's always been really easy for me to just keep going and have loads of faith. But when they're taking away things like the NHS that I feel like I need to feel secure and to go on with my life, I felt, and things like climate change as well, it just feels so hopeless. You feel like, what am I going to do? It's meaningless, it's pointless to try and be optimistic. But you have to drag yourself out of that, because that is the one surefire way to never have a great life. Like, no one ever goes, and guess who I'm bringing on the expedition? This bitter shriveled husk. Oh, they shall be ruinous for morale. Give a speech. This is stupid, we should give up. And I was reminded that you have to stay silly as well. That I was on a commuter train in London, and I was at the very bottom of my breakup, and I was so sad, and I was thinking very melancholy thoughts along the lines of, intimacy comes and goes, like the tides. Or, if you imagine you're going to have kids with someone, that is real. You imagine everything about them, their age, what they'll look like, what they'll be like with each other, their names, everything. That is real. So if you change your mind, it's like you've murdered those kids. I've murdered Francis and Eugene. And then just as the train was leaving the station, I looked up, and there was a block of flats we were going past, and on one of the balconies there were two men, proper adults, 35-year-old men. And as the train went past them, both of them went, I forgot you could do that. You could totally do that anytime. And it made me think, right, sometimes it's really easy just to keep going, to keep believing in what you believe in, keep doing what you're doing. And other times it's really, really difficult, and it's a really difficult choice. But it's one you have to make, and then you have to keep on making it over and over again. And I feel like if this government is grinding you down or making you feel hopeless or beaten or anything like that, don't let them do that to you, because seriously, fuck them. I did used to say, fuck them 1,000 times to death, but it seems a bit harsh. So now I will go as far as to say, fuck them. Fuck them all the way to market, and then fuck them again for good measure. I don't mean literally fuck them. Don't literally fuck them. And I know it's not the cleverest thing to say, and I know it's not the kindest thing to say, but seriously, fuck them. Fuck them. So listen, that's the end of my show. And I really hope you've enjoyed it. It's the last time I'm ever going to perform it. That was an odd noise, wasn't it? Right? But if you didn't, I hope you never write a blog about it. Yeah, I hope you have a nice Christmas, and thank you very much. Goodbye. Thank you very much. I will now be, thank you. I will now be singing you Christmas tunes as exit music, but please do leave, because I love to sing, but I wasn't blessed with the voice. I don't want a lot for Christmas. I won't even ask for snow. You've really got to go.